Hey, Margie here. If you or anyone you know suffers from depression, you absolutely must listen to this episode because there's good news. There's been a project going on that's been shown to be extremely effective, and you're going to learn about that and what it entails. And I'm very excited. We have two special guests today. So the first is Dr. Achina Stein. And Dr. Achina is the head doctor at the Healing Depression Project. She is a leading expert in functional medicine psychiatry and a best-selling author with 30 years of experience helping people recover from depression. She's a board-certified psychiatrist, a distinguished fellow of the American Psychiatric Association, a certified practitioner of functional medicine, and former clinical associate professor of psychiatry and human behavior at the Warren Albert Medical School at Brown University. And then we have Silvia Covelli. And Silvia is the founder of the Healing Depression Project, and she is a former social science researcher at Harvard. And Silvia faced relentless chronic depression and tried more than 60 treatments without finding sustained relief. Her personal struggle, combined with her background in human transformation and mind-body connection, led her to develop a program that remarkably ended 25 years of depression symptoms, and she's remained depression-free ever since. So that's why she created the Healing Depression Project, and you're going to learn all about this because it's just really exciting, and there's hope in an area that many people are just suffering. So lots of incredible information. Stay tuned. Welcome, Dr. Achina and Silvia. I am just absolutely thrilled to have both of you on the podcast. Depression is something that affects so many people, and they don't realize that there's a lot that can be done. So I'm really excited for you to discuss what's been working and really give people options. So if this is for you, if you're listening, or a loved one, I just know this information is going to be so helpful. So first of all, welcome. And
Yes.
yeah, I'm just really happy to have you here and so grateful for the work that you're doing. So let's start with Sylvia. Why don't you just shed some light on the current situation and why the traditional care for depression falls short? Why is not everybody benefiting from what right now is the basic way that people are treated who have depression?
Hi, Margie. Thank you for having us. I'm very excited to be here. I guess the current situation with the conventional psychiatry model is that the main approach that they're using is antidepressants and talk therapy. And as someone that was depressed for so long, I deal with depression for 25 years. And I try all sort of different medications, therapies, and different treatments. And I was still, for some periods I was doing better, then the symptoms will eventually find their way back. So it was never sustained. And what really was life changing for me is when I implemented like a program that included lifestyle changes, diet changes. And it was very surprising to me that within 25 years, and I don't know how many doctors, at least 10, I was never told any of these things. And if it was mentioned kind of like like when you're exiting the office, oh yeah, sleep well, eat well, something very general as a side note, but never as this could be the answer. So, and that's what's happening. Like if we look through, a little bit of history, antidepressants and the prescription of antidepressants is just rising very, 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 very rapidly, but the depression rates are not. I mean, are not lowering, which is what you would expect. So basically, what we're having is more medication with with there's not an improvement, and so at this point, what we really have to look at the research that shows that antidepressants are not that effective. Just for example, in the Hamilton scale, antidepressants, once you remove the placebo effect, it moves that scale only 1.8 points. That's a 52 points scale. And if you don't get at least 3 points, then it's not nothing really like meaningful in how you feel the symptoms is happening to you. So maybe it's time for really for psychiatry to start looking at other treatments the way like we're doing it, the way that other people are doing it, and see what's really working, because that, I guess that's the main message that I would like for your audience, people that are dealing with depression. There's a solution, there's a way out, and it's not as we've been told for so many years and by so many doctors, that this is a lifetime condition, that that there's no cure, only symptom management. There's a lot of new approaches that are showing a different reality.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm so excited about the work that you've done. And the truth is, so many people, as you said, that's the treatment. And, they don't do anything else, simply write the prescription and that's it, a pill for an ill and you're done. And maybe they do send them to a psychologist with all the other treatments. It's possible, but typically, and the other thing people don't tell them, they don't even tell people that this can affect your bones. A lot of these medications have serious side effects and many of them like reduce bone density and really have negative effects on the bones. So the good news is that Dr. Chino was here around a year ago, I think, telling us about this approach that she was going to test. It was a residential model, and you were just it hadn't even started yet, and that's why I wanted you back because we have some it's just so exciting and there is hope and so why don't you share about your model and then also what's happened because I was so happy to hear what's gone on with this.
Yeah, yeah. It really is a great model, and honestly, it's with Silvia Covelli who actually put the model together because of her own experiences. She's the founder of the Healing Depression Project, and she searched for experts in functional medicine to help her, really put the details through. So it really is a combination of lifestyle psychiatry, metabolic psychiatry, functional medicine, psychodrama, somatic work, mindfulness practices, and the therapeutic ketogenic diet all under one roof. It's a 30-day program, just to let people know. It's like a retreat style program where you're on site for 30 days. And then it's followed by a 15-day daily follow-up remotely. And so it's a 45-day program, and then there's check-ins for at least 6 months. I'm not sure about that detail. It might even be longer. I'm sure Sylvia can chime in after that. But it really is on site, several people, experts, international experts on these issues, on these types of treatment, all under one roof. And so we had 10 participants, 9 women, 1 man, and they range from the ages of 26 to 65, 66, and they did really, really well. The results were amazing. So there was a symptom decrease of about 60 to 73% across measures, and 80% were in remission or in the mild range. And we were following these people with several different scales. There was by day 30, the group mean symptom reduction of 60 to 73%. I just can't I can't believe those numbers. But that was using the Beck Depression Inventory, the HAM-D, the PHQ-9, and the GAD-7. And up to 90% reached remission, um, or mild severity. 80% were in remission or minimal range on the Beck Depression Inventory, and 90% were in remission or mild on the HAM-D17 specifically. So those results are amazing in 30 days. 30 days, right?
It's interesting because you're a psychiatrist and you work with this on a regular basis. So just being in the facility and being, a little different. So did you see that piece of it made such a difference?
Oh, absolutely. And I feel like the ketogenic diet is probably the biggest piece that made the difference, because you could see we focused a lot on that in the first week. And you could see that once people reached ketosis, that they, within days, they felt a big difference. And it, obviously they're on site, they have people cooking for them, and, creating the meals. So that piece of learning that part of it in the first week wasn't necessary because it was being done for you, and everyone had a meter to test their ketones and their glucose. And it was a therapeutic ketogenic diet, which I know lots of people are, sometimes like, oh, ketogenic diet's bad. That's not true. There's certain kinds of ketogenic diets that are bad, and it doesn't always have to be with meat. There we had one vegetarian, at least one vegetarian who, did the ketogenic diet, and was able to get into ketosis. So, you don't have to, just eat meat. That's what some people think. And we're making healthy choices of fats and proteins. So the ketogenic diet has a lot more to do with the macro ratios of carbs, low carbs, moderate protein, and high fats, but they're healthy fats. And it's reaching a range and finding your own sweet spot within the ketogenic diet. So everyone's different and how quickly they get into ketosis. But that's just one piece of the program. We had everybody walking every single day. We had everybody meditating every single day. And there was this mindset programming through Dr. Joe Dispenza's and Tony Robbins, and people like them, listening to recordings and following, basically habit stacking all the different things that they were taught during the program. And it was very immersive. And they also had somatic practices. And in between the first 10 days and the last 10 days was psychodrama, intensive psychodrama led by
Stacey Johnson.
Stacy Johnson, yeah. So, yeah, she was amazing, and people were able to really address some deep-rooted trauma as a result of the psychodrama. I was blown away by it. So, it wasn't just one particular thing, and everyone responded differently. The game changer, for one person would be different from a game changer for another person, because they're all coming from different experiences and backgrounds, and some people were already meditating and others, were learning it for the first time. So some people were already walking and others were doing it for the first time. So it was amazing just to see the variety of people come together and do it together, and all really, really benefit from the entire program because it was all being done at once. And so, sometimes when people do this work as an outpatient, like my patients, it becomes like a side job, like they're working, they're taking care of their family, they're doing all sorts of things in their life, and then they're working on themselves. And it kind of is not really done with, like, as a priority. Some people have to do it as a priority because they've lost everything, in their life, that now, okay, all I have is my health that I can work on. And it's that, I mean, it's good for everyone, this program, but if you're at that place where, you're not working and you're not, you don't have responsibilities, like, this is the perfect time to really focus.
Hey, Margie here. As a physical therapist, I know firsthand how important exercise is for our bones, overall health, and happiness. And unfortunately, there's a lot of confusion on what exercises are safe and effective for people with osteoporosis. That's why I created this handout that contains a 30-minute video where I explain the concepts so you understand the do's and don'ts when it comes to exercise. And this is important because this way you can go into any class and know what you should be doing and what you should avoid. Because too many people are doing exercises that actually increase their risk of spinal fractures. I also included videos of me demonstrating effective balance, posture, and weight-bearing exercises you can put into your day right away. So all you need to do to access this handout, it's free, is go to tinyurl.com/osteoporosis exercises. So it's tinyurl.com, again, /osteoporosis exercises, or you can click the link in the show notes. Now back to the show. Yeah, do you have something to add, Sylvia, to this?
Yeah, just to add to that, as someone that, had depression for so long, one of the reasons why the program is residential is so that you can really dedicate the time and make yourself like the priority. Even if you're working, and if you have your family, even if you have a busy life, taking time off and just fully concentrating for 30 days on, the most important job of your life, healing yourself. That's exactly what I did. And that's when I started getting results, because I was started to be very careful. Or how's the diet? How's the exercise? How am I doing this? And then getting all the resources that I needed. So the program is specifically designed in a retreat style in person for that. And also to support the people to get into these habits. Because when you have depression symptoms, it's really hard to go out and walk. It's really hard to change your diet. That requires a lot of energy, planning, a lot of reading. Of course, you need the support of a professional. So all those things at the same time that you're being depressed is really hard. So the fact that you're in a place where you start, seeing that you can actually get into these habits, and we start in a gradual manner, very slowly at the beginning, and then you start believing in yourself again, because you're like, oh, so I can go for a 45 minutes walk. Oh, I can change my diet. Oh, look the way that I'm feeling. And that really empowers you. Once you see the results, once you feel better, then it really empowers you to continue back at home, because that is the main key. The results were amazing, as Dr. Stein was saying. And, just talking about, I was mentioning before the Hamilton scale, that antidepressants was 1.8. Like with our program, the Hamilton scale moved 12.8 points. So that's just, to make a reference, and that was by day 30. But the people that kept those benefits and that maintained that well-being is the ones that when they went back home, they continue with all these, new healthy habits, and they kept themselves in ketosis.
Wow, a couple things. I love this because every single thing you're talking about is part of all my programs, because they help your bones, they help your overall health, and it's the mind
Mhm.
body piece. And I just love the somatic part. I love the meditation part. I've seen, each piece, it can really be life changing, the exercise. And I agree with you, overwhelm stops people in their tracks. So when you're trying, okay, first of all, it's hard when you're depressed to even do anything. And then, all these pieces, there's no way they're going to start cooking and they're going to do this. And it's too overwhelming. So it really is a block. So I love the fact you don't really have a choice. You're there and you just get all these pieces. And then when you see your work, you're in a different mindset. And it just sounds, I'm so excited about the results, because when Dr. Achina was here, it was just a thought, not a thought, but it was something that you were going to test and see. It made sense, but could it really work? But the results are amazing, and too many people are suffering. So I'm just so excited about this. But I have some questions about that I think also for everybody listening, because my crew here is very into their bones. There's
Yeah.
some things, and all these things like depression, and it majorly affects bone health. But the ketogenic diet, so if you could, Dr. China, just also, not everybody knows what ketosis is. So maybe just start with what ketosis is and what the results are for bone health, because there's actually research besides other things on the ketogenic diet and bone health. So I just thought that would be great to share with the community.
Yeah, so ketosis is a different type of fuel that the body can utilize. So most people understand that glucose is a fuel, and but it's basically a different kind of fuel that occurs when your carbohydrate intake is very low, or the energy demands exceed available glucose that's stored in your body. So it's basically a metabolic state in which your body switches from using glucose as its main fuel to using fat-derived ketone bodies, which is primarily beta hydroxybutyrate, acetoacetate, or acetone. So, and those ketones are best used optimally by the brain, muscles, and the mitochondria. And sometimes people don't even realize that they're in ketosis. We talk a lot about fasting. People say how healthy intermittent fasting is. That's one of the quickest ways to bring down your insulin levels because ultimately, that is it's better to have an insulin like about 6 to 7. And when people have insulin resistance, which is high levels of insulin, it ultimately increases your risk of pre-diabetes and then diabetes, etc., which then can lead to diabetes 3, which can affect your brain, right? So, I mean, we all know that diabetes also can affect the brain. So, moving in the other direction, fasting actually brings down that insulin level. And some people find that they feel really good when they fast. Well, maybe you're in ketosis. And the only way to know that is to actually test for that. And you can test that by peeing on a strip. You have strips that you can buy, ketone strips, and you could actually get it at the grocery store, these strips. What I feel like is more accurate is to get your glucose level and ketones in together at the same time. And there's glucose strips as well, but there's also meters with breath. You can breathe into a meter or you can take a finger stick. So there's different ways of getting those numbers. And so sometimes when we try to have people go onto a therapeutic ketogenic diet, we just start with lowering carbs, slowly over time and generally trying to get used to that. And then we'll go up with the fats and the protein doesn't really the amount of protein doesn't really change that much. But sometimes you don't have to actually follow a ketogenic diet to get into ketosis. And we find that some people don't need to be in ketosis, but they feel great. Why? Because the diet is a very clean diet. As long as, I mean, we're always eating whole foods, right? And healthy choices, and we're taking out the processed and the ultra processed foods, the sugar. And our diet is also gluten and dairy free. So a lot of times people think about ketogenic diet including dairy. We actually have a therapeutic ketogenic diet without the dairy and the gluten. So and you can have amazing meals. People were amazed in the program of how delicious the food was. And then they were taught how to make these same meals and given recipes. So um but yeah, so it is the type of fuel. You almost become this hybrid, like a hybrid car. You become this hybrid machine of how to use fuel. And ketones cross the blood-brain barrier very easily. It also starves cancers too. It reduces your risks of cancers. So there's a lot of benefits to the ketogenic diet. It's more efficient fuel. It's anti-inflammatory. It's neuroprotective, and it supports your mitochondria. And by the way, the ketogenic diet was used for years and years and years to treat epilepsy in children. So there's a lot of data about the benefits of the ketogenic diet for the brain, but we're gathering data in the last 5 to 10 years to really prove that this is amazing for mental health, not just depression, but anxiety and even psychosis.
Wow. And what about, I know there's some research on the bones. Do either of you want to share that?
Yeah, yeah, there is some research on the bones. It's a lot of times people, when they are aware of the ketogenic diet, they think that it's nutrient deficient, but that's not really the case. In the past, when there have been studies, older studies in epilepsy patients where children were on a strict ketogenic protocol, they sometimes had vitamin D or mineral deficiencies. But we don't know if that was the case prior to even starting the diet necessarily, but also it's like, what did they use as the diet, right? So I think it's important to think there are unhealthy ketogenic diets and then there are very healthy ketogenic diets. So, a really well formulated ketogenic diet really should include foods that are rich in calcium and magnesium, which is leafy greens, nuts, seeds, fish with bones, fortified non dairy milks can all help maintain strong bones. And all of our participants were drinking water with electrolytes, to supplement during ketosis. So, and that always includes magnesium. And as you know, magnesium is really, really important in combination with calcium. Um, Everyone was tested for baseline vitamin D levels, and that was replaced. And so most people who come into treatment are usually insufficient or deficient in vitamin D. I rarely see somebody who has a normal vitamin D level. I'm in the Northeast, that isn't supplementing, so the people who have normal levels are supplementing. The ones that come without it, like, oh my gosh, your vitamin D is really insufficient. I like to see the vitamin D level, serum vitamin D level being between 60 and 80. And so that's our goal. And so if they're, well below that, we will supplement as well with vitamin D3, K and K2. And so, as you probably know, protein intake is also really important for bone strength because bones are about 50% protein. And when a ketogenic diet, the ketogenic diet includes an adequate amount of protein for bone remodeling and repair. And we talked about mineral balance, and that's why we're not concerned about bone loss, because it is a healthy diet. Also during the program, they're all exercising, and part of improving your bone mass is by exercising and doing strength training. So it's not all about just the calcium in the diet, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. The
No.
other thing is, I don't want to forget to mention, is that chronic inflammation and poor metabolic health also contribute to, bone loss, or so bringing down inflammation and improving that metabolic resilience really helps with bone health, which the ketogenic diet does too. So I think it's a matter of looking at the whole picture and not focusing on one aspect, and really looking at, is this ketogenic diet actually a healthy version of the ketogenic diet?
Yeah, I mean, it makes so much sense. And even like blood sugar, that's a huge, huge problem for everybody in so many ways. But for osteoporosis, they've really shown that that breaks down bone. And people, even pre-diabetes, even in A1C of 7, not 7, of 5.7, could, they've shown 24% increase in fractures. So it's huge. So there's so
Right.
many reasons. Okay, so anyway, it's good for your bones, but we're talking depression here. And
Right.
I want you to tell about this program because the exciting thing is, okay, you did a test and it was really successful. So we're not stopping. Now we're ramping up. And so, Sylvia, do you want to share what's happening and what's possible for people listening, if either for you or there's someone you know who's suffering? Because I just think this is so exciting. And it's because it's so sad. It's so sad when someone's life is as you lived, Sylvia, when you really do have this depression that you're living with and there is hope. So yeah, why don't you tell what's going to happen?
I love that message. There's hope. And that's what we saw in our previous program. And, the results that we just discussed, and seeing people coming to life after many years. People there had, between 10 to 40 years of depression. So, and treatment resistant. They had tried, probably everything that you can imagine. And the good news, and we're really excited, so we're going to do it again. We are planning on doing this program every year, 2 times a year. The next one that is coming soon starts on March 1st, 2026. And right now, during December, we are accepting applications. So, that's the timeline. We need time in advance. We cannot register people right before the program because we do extensive labs and specialized test, and we do that about a month and a half before the program starts. So during December and January, we're going to be accepting applications and reviewing those applications. We really want that the program is a good fit for the person. So we take a time in selecting which people will benefit the most. And also, just as last year, we are offering scholarships, which is fantastic because, as we all know, residential care is very expensive. And if you add to that labs, in-house nutritionists, in-house doctors, and 15 days follow-up at home. But with these scholarships, it can even cover 70, sometimes 80% of the investment for the program. So it's a great opportunity for someone that has been wanting to go away, get the support, get all these professionals under one roof to help you. Because just talking about the ketogenic diet, it does require a professional, and the recommendation is that you don't start it by yourself because there's so many ways that you can do it wrong. So, having a metabolic nutritionist for that is what's really recommended. We do have that in-house. We do all the functional medicine piece, looking at all the possible root causes in your body. Because, if you have a symptom such as fatigue, which is a physical symptom, it does make sense that there's a physical root cause for it. So maybe an unbalance, dysfunction, something that is happening in your body. So we do all that too. Then we help with the creation of these habits, all those things that, they're good for you and you really have tried to get on them, but then it's on and off and you haven't really been able to stick to them. This is a great opportunity to get into them, to get intensive psychodrama group therapy. That is a type of therapy that really helps you elaborate trauma and move through stuff that are holding you back, most likely. And then we also have the spiritual piece, which is, very beautiful. We talk about, finding purpose, finding that connection, the things that really, are meaningful to you, getting that sense of passion again, things that you feel passionate again about again. And because depression does that, depression takes all those things away. So slowly, as the body starts feeling better and the trauma starts getting like addressed, then also this piece of, of connection, it's also very important. And the program offers that. And most importantly, then you have 15 days at home that we help you to actually integrate all those things into your day-to-day life. Because if you don't integrate, any program that you do is just going to be that, a program. And you're just going to feel well while you're there. But, our goal is the long well-being of the person, the long-term well-being. And that's why the program is designed that way. So if you have been trying for many years to get well, if you have tried different treatments, give this a chance. Functional medicine psychiatry and metabolic psychiatry together, and professionals just working around the clock to get you well.
Oh, I love this. So we'll have the link, but where do they go to apply or to, or to take the next steps? Anyone that's interested in
The next step is booking a call, and they can do that on the website. Is healingdepressionproject.com. Right there, you find the link to book a call. And based on that call, it's just an informal conversation when you can ask questions about the program, where we can tell you if we think it's a good fit or not. That call is going to be with Dr. Stein or myself. So it's a really safe space. And from there, if we think the program is a good fit for you, we'll send you an invitation to apply. And then, it goes from there.
I love this. And I'm just so excited about the results because when when Dr. Achina was on last time, it was sort of, just beginning and it sounded good, but to really have such fabulous results. And it makes so much sense in my mind. And you're going to come out a different person. I'm just so into, I teach a happiness program, into spirituality and into purpose, like all the things you talk about help the average person really upgrade their happiness in life. So I can't even imagine how incredible. It's like going to a spa. It sounds like to me. It's like
Right.
get depressed,
Right.
go to
Yeah.
the spa.
Yeah, much of depression does have a lot to do with lifestyle, but we're also looking at root causes besides food.
Yeah.
Food being, inflammatory. So, we have you on an anti-inflammatory diet. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm sorry about that. But we're also going to be looking at, chronic infections, toxins, and hormones imbalance, besides root causes of inflammation. So, really trying to bring the body back into balance because as Sylvia was mentioning, fatigue being one of the symptoms of depression, there are other physical symptoms, that contribute that look like, like you have the flu, when you have the flu, you have all sorts of physical symptoms. And so sometimes depression is part of the flu too. So, what we really want to do is bring the body back into balance by looking at all the things that can contribute to depression, and address it through lifestyle and dietary changes as well as, supplementation if required.
Ah, I love this. Dr. Chena, because not everybody who's listening is a candidate, and I'm
Mhm.
hoping that if you know people, please share this. But also just for people who like this integrative approach and don't need really an intensive program such as this, what I know that you work with people. So what's the best way for people to learn more about your work?
Sure. Yeah. My practice is functional mind in Providence, Rhode Island. I am licensed in Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Texas, and which is what we have the program in Texas, so I have a license there. And so people can find me through my website www.fxnmind.com and or just type in Google my name and I'll pop up. So yeah, functional mind is the practice. And yeah, I'm happy to see people, but I'm also a good place if I'm not in the states where you live, then it's great to just go to the Institute for Functional Medicine website, which is www.ifm.org, or yeah, I that's the and or there's Mind Health 360. I believe that's mindhealth360.com or mindhealth360.org. There's a great list of practitioners that do integrative mental health treatment.
Oh, great. Well, this has been so great. And I am just so thrilled what's with your results that, when I heard about this, I'm like, you have to come on the podcast because I really believe this will get to people who and I can't wait to hear, who maybe listen to the podcast and is, down the road after they do this, they're a totally new person. So if you are one of these people that's thinking of enrolling down the road, let me know because it's always so exciting. Well, is there any last minute things you want to say? I think you were pretty inclusive of
Yeah,
explaining the program and they can learn more when they make the call and
I
everything else.
think I would like to say that for many years I try good approaches, but they were like, separate. So I was trying like, one thing, then the other thing. But I think the real magic that this program offers is that all of them are, being implemented together. So your physical, your mental, your emotional, your spiritual pieces are being addressed at the same time, and we are helping like with the specific implementation of the diet. So is this that it's what I found out in my own life is that doing all those things together and being able to have consistency in my day-to-day life and practicing them every day was the key. So I think that's the absolute best benefit that the program offers, and that's why in just 30 days we're seeing these results.
Thank you for creating this program because I know it
Yeah.
helped millions. And I think you guys are trendsetters. You're going to start something that's effective. And I just am excited because you're going to be helping. You've already helped so many people, but even to take this to the next level. So thank you
Yeah.
Yeah.
so much for joining me here today and keep me updated on everything that goes on because it's so exciting.
Yeah. Can I just say one more thing? Yeah. So, I just want to point out that Sylvia's had depression. past tense, for over 20 years. And now she's been depression free for like over 5 years now. So it's sustained. If you continue, you have to continue the lifestyle changes. It's sustained. And so she's living proof of that. And we're hoping to, actually post results at some point of the people that we've been following from the previous program and how long they've been sustained as well. The other thing I want to say is that, if you're listening to this podcast, to please, pay attention to that depressive, negative thought process that might be going through your mind and saying, oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm not, that's not for me, or I can't do this, or I can't do that. And just make the call. It's free. It's a free call. Get more information, and maybe you'll learn how it is a good program for you, and that it may be right for you. So I think it's really worth the call to actually find out more information because it's free.
Okay. Well, thank you
Yep.
so much. And it's been a pleasure. And I can't wait to hear.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Wow, what an enlightening conversation. And it's so exciting that this 30-day program using an integrative approach has been getting such fabulous results. So, if you or someone you know is suffering from depression, make sure to check out their website at healingdepressionproject.com. All the links also will be in the show notes. And thank you so much for tuning in. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.